So bluntly, I, 20 male, was an unwanted child, a whoops pregnancy that my parents were too religious to end. As a result, I pretty much raised myself until I was kicked out at 18. I won't lie, it hurt being rejected by the people who were supposed to love me, but I'm at peace with it. So with that tragic backstory out of the way, about 6 months ago, my parents reached out and started by apologizing profusely. I wasn't sure about getting back in contact, but they seemed genuine, so I tentatively went ahead. Things were going well until they invited me to meet up in person. I showed up at the restaurant expecting a quiet dinner and a heart-to-heart. Instead, I discovered that my father's fraternity had rented out the whole place for a 25-year reunion. He met me at the door and told me to act like we were a happy family in front of his old friends. Being hungry at this point, I made a beeline for the buffet. He promised me dinner, and by God, I was going to have it. I tried to blend into the background until I got to chatting with some other folks my age, my father's friends' kids, I assume. They started talking about their parents, and I nodded and smiled along. Then I was directly asked what I got for my 18th birthday, and I didn't know what to say, so I defaulted to the truth. So what did your parents get you for your 18th? I got kicked out. Cue awkward silence. Oh my God, are you okay? That sounds awful. Yeah, I'm fine. I just moved in with my aunt while I go to college. Where do y'all go? Then they got to gossiping about their schools, and I made myself scarce shortly afterward. Later that night, my father started blowing up my phone, admonishing me for embarrassing him. Apparently, what I said had gotten back to my father's friends, who are now being very cold to my father. He's angry at me because it wouldn't have been a big deal to just lie and save face. And now he's in hot water with his university friends. I muted him and went to bed. I was sure I was right here, but now I'm having doubts. I'm worried that my parents might not want to keep in contact after I basically threw a monkey wrench into his relationships with his university friends. So am I the idiot? Not the idiot, 100%. Dad was using you to save face and telling you to lie. First and foremost, you will never be the idiot for telling the truth. I don't mean any offense when I say this, but you're clearly not at peace with what your parents did to you. Even in the last paragraph, you're still seeking the approval of the people who never cared about you at all. The fact that he told, not asked, but told you to play happy family for his friends is telling you that they're not sorry at all. Even if they do go no contact, don't sweat it. They don't deserve you after what they've done. And keep in mind that they got back in contact and tricked OP into attending a reunion function instead of the promised dinner to clear the air. I think OP was going to be the prop from the first return to contact. Daddy Dearest would have been better off raving about his brilliant child being too busy at school. But nah, he wanted to play happy family with the child he abandoned without warning. He got what he deserved. The term prop nails it. You were used as a tool to fit in, get brownie points, and approval from your dad's fraternity buddies. Good relationships and fraternities tend to bleed into the real world, where they trade favors or patronize each other. They felt deceived when their social norms seemed violated and their goodwill just evaporated. As a result, he won't reap any benefits for something he likely had in the pipeline. I doubt the buddies are cold to the father. He probably lied about that to OP. It's too easy to cover up. I'm sure doting dad covered himself by saying that OP was out of control, so he had to kick OP out. OP, your dad tried to use you to look good in front of his buddies. Think about this very carefully. Do you honestly want to be in your parents' life if all you are is a prop? You deserve to have people around you who value you for being you. I had cold parents, and it didn't matter how hard I tried. Nothing I did was ever good enough. There's no shame in walking away from emotionally abusive parents. You deserve better than that. My girlfriend, 34, and I, 31 male, share a flat. And for the last few years, My girlfriend has stored a can of Coke with her name in one of our shared bookshelves. This morning I discovered that the can had started to leak, most likely due to temperature variations, I'd assume. And while cleaning it up, I noticed that one of my books was ruined. When I showed my girlfriend the leak and the damage to the book, she basically said, "What a pity." I didn't press the subject immediately, but a few hours later, I told her it would have been nice for her to say that she was sorry that my book was ruined. However, she refused to and claimed it was not her fault, as she couldn't have expected the can to start leaking. I kinda agree in the sense that I wouldn't have expected the can to start leaking either. Still, I just know that if the situation were reversed, something I owned somehow damaged one of her books, I'd be mortified and thinking very hard about how I could replace the book or otherwise make it up to her. When I told her so, she told me that she thought I was out of my mind if I expected an apology for what happened. I know this is a minor issue, but I'm annoyed at how she completely refused to see my point of view. Since she was not receptive at all, I told her we would talk about it later, and she said something along the lines of, "Let's not. It's not worth it for the BS." Now I'm even angrier, and we're not on speaking terms right now. Am I overreacting? Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Of course no one expected the can to leak, and this was an accident. But you know what? When you're cohabitating with someone and you ruin one of their belongings, you apologize, even when it's an accident. Her attitude shows a total lack of respect for you and your things. Do you really want to be with this person? Please think about how she treats you in other areas of the relationship. Does she often disrespect you? If she didn't expect a soda can to leak, she didn't do the bare minimum of a 3-second Google search. Soda cans are pressurized, made of the thinnest aluminum possible, and have intentional weak points to allow for easy opening. They eventually leak, some earlier than others, but I think this has to be a warning to others. If you have a saved unopened can of soda, it might leak. The people who collect cans drain them from the bottom. I got a custom-wrapped Coca-Cola bottle from the Vegas Coca-Cola store when I was around 7, and I had it on my bookcase for probably 12 years, and I never once thought, what if it leaks? I don't know, maybe I'm an idiot, but I wouldn't have thought to Google anything about it. It just sat next to my books, and I moved a few houses with it too. I just wrapped it in newspaper, like any of my glass or breakable knickknacks. When people can't apologize for a small thing, that's a big red flag to me. It costs literally nothing to say, "Sorry, I feel bad that happened," even if it's not 100% your fault. I couldn't agree more. I can't believe people are just disregarding the fact she has no remorse, sympathy, or empathy for his possessions. That's a huge red flag. OP, this was important to you. She decided it's just BS, but expects you to get over it rather than say sorry? You both seem stubborn, and this may be about more than a book and a soda can. So, a bit of background first. My wife, Sally, 29, and I, 32 male, live in a very rural area, and we have a large plot of land I inherited from my late father. About half of it is forested. My family has had this land and managed it for generations at this point, and we've kept bees on the land for just as long. There are 3 permanent managed colonies that we collect honey and other products from, and anywhere from 2 to 6 wild colonies, depending on the year. On to the issue. My sister-in-law, Mary, 31, recently married a man, late 30s, with a tween son who apparently has an extreme allergy to bees, to the point where he'll die if he doesn't get medical attention. Sally and I host the family party every year since we have the space inside and out. Mary called last week to tell us we needed to get rid of the bees so that her son could be there. I told her I was absolutely not doing that. She got really angry and told me that I was excluding my nephew over some insects and that the family matters more than them. I told her that if it's such a big issue, she can host or her son can stay inside. She got huffy and hung up on me. Sally's on my side with this and tried to suggest that maybe my brother-in-law, who's an EMT, could try and prepare in case something happens. This issue has split my wife's family, And now my mother-in-law's trying to convince my wife and me to just get rid of them to keep the peace. I get that the kid could die, but I don't think it's fair to demand that I give up my bees over a kid who I've known for less than a year. Am I the idiot? Edit. It's roughly 60,000, potentially more bees spread across a forest. Also, all the bees on my land aren't the docile Italian breeds loved by beekeepers across the country. They aren't socialized to people, since I'm basically the only person they encounter for 99% of the year. And between the screaming kids and copious amount of fireworks used, the bees get ornery. Not the idiot. So you have 3 permanent, long-established, managed colonies and 2 to 6 wild colonies managed year-round for generations. But sister-in-law wants you to get rid of the bees for a one-day family party, or they won't come? That sounds like an easy solution. She can host the party, or she can choose not to attend. Sister-in-law is trying very hard to ingratiate herself with her new bonus kid. OP didn't mention hearing anything directly from the parent who has raised the kid all his life. That could be due to establishing new family dynamics, which is understandable. The kid is a tween. He's old enough to understand his allergy and follow the rules about where he can and cannot go at OP's home. As OP has mentioned, there are 60,000 plus bees spread. He could get stung virtually anywhere. OP, your sister-in-law is unreasonable. I, too, am a beekeeper. Unless you're going right up to the hive, you're not going to encounter any more bees than anywhere else. They should have the EpiPen on them all the time and always be prepared for a sting, because bees live everywhere. It would be different if he lived there full time. Those insects are becoming endangered, and we need them to keep this planet alive. I disagree. You are the idiot. I'm sorry, but a child's life is not more important than a colony of bees. I don't care about the legacy. This kid will literally die if he's stung by a bee. I mean, sure, as long as the bees in here are separated, then it would be fine, but you just never know. This is not a kid being a picky eater. It's life-threatening. Your sister-in-law is upset because you've told her that your bee colony is more important to you than her child. What the heck is wrong with you? Honestly, I can't even fathom why this is okay, and people are saying not the idiot. It's a kid's life we're talking about here. I, 28 male, lost my wife, Willow, 4 years ago. Willow and I have 2 children, a young grammar schooler and a kindergartner. Losing Willow was so hard for more than one reason. My kids lost their mom while they were still so young, and I know what it's like to lose a parent when you're small. I lost my dad when I was 5. My mom remarried within 18 months of dad dying. She always talked about how I needed a dad and how it was the best thing for us to have someone come in while I was still young enough to accept a new dad and not a stepdad. For her, that still holds true, even though to me, he's my stepdad and never my dad. I've not considered dating at all since Willow. Instead, I've focused on grieving my wife, healing, helping my children heal, making sure they have a good childhood, and enjoying the life that we have now, as much as it's still painful at times. My mom has brought up before how my children need a mother. I once said that I wasn't interested in remarrying and have ignored comments like that since and continued with my life. This was possible until my mom set me down and told me that my kids deserved a mother and to think about how she made the decision to give me a father again, and that it was the best decision she could have ever made for me. Therefore, I should make that decision for my children. I told her we were different people. She told me that she did what she needed to do for my best interest, and that I should consider that because my kids will get to an age where anyone I meet will be kept as a stepmom and not a mom. So, like my stepdad? She told me I was being petty, calling him that. She then started her spiel again about my depriving my children of a mom. I snapped when she wouldn't drop it, and I told her I didn't want to be like her. I told her I did not want to replace Willow, that my kids have me. They have grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins. They have friends. They have so many people in their lives. and they're not suffering terribly because I don't want to remarry. I told her she made what she thought was the right decision, but she never once asked me if I thought it was the right one, and that putting words into my mouth would not encourage me to be more like her. My mom left me angry, frustrated, and possibly even hurt. She told me I wasn't being a good father. Am I the idiot for what I said to my mom? Not the idiot. The most important thing for your children is to have loving parents who will care for them and support them as they grow. If you're doing that, then you're being a good father. You do not need to get married again just to give them a mother. They have a mother. Unfortunately, she passed, but she'll always be their mother. One day you'll decide you're ready to meet someone else, but that day, if it comes, it doesn't have to be now. Your mother needs to stop lying to herself. Her remarrying so quickly was in her best interest, not yours. All you did was state how you felt. If she didn't feel like hearing the truth, it still doesn't make you an idiot. I don't think your mom's being malicious. She sounds like she still hasn't come to terms with her circumstances and sees you repeating what she did as approval. I imagine it was incredibly difficult for her then to know what was right. However, that doesn't mean she can place her own issues on you. I'd feel very uncomfortable entering someone's life with the expectation of being a mother replacement. I just wouldn't do it. It's unhealthy. You're doing what's right for you and your children. The idea that a child must have two parents is naive. You sound like a wonderful dad. Keep doing what you're doing. I, 29 female, and my fiance, Dan, 29 male, are expecting. I'm 24 weeks pregnant. I've mostly been wearing baggy clothing to hide the bump, especially with my loss history. My sister-in-law, Jess, 27, is infertile. My heart hurts for her, but the way my in-laws handle it, in my opinion, is pathetic. You can't have pregnancy announcements. No children under 5 can attend family events. Despite her rules, recently Dan and I both agreed it was time to announce the pregnancy. We both agreed we would do a surprise gender reveal. We had the doctor give us an envelope on what the gender was at the last appointment. We hosted a gathering where we would announce it and also had the party for the gender reveal when my sister-in-law arrived with her husband. When she found out, she was angry and asked me why I didn't give her a heads up and I should know how she felt about this. I told her I didn't have to tell her anything and she didn't have to be such a witch about it. She stormed out and has been ghosting me, and I'm blocked on all her socials. So, am I the idiot? How did you write this and not realize this automatically makes you the idiot? Gender reveal parties are already highly controversial, but ambushing an infertile woman you know would pass on such a party by having it be a surprise is entirely unfair to her and anyone else who doesn't want to be at a gender reveal. I suppose this is your fiance's sister and family. Still, the responsible thing to do would be for him to call all of them and let them know you're expecting, and not ambush and rub this in your future sister-in-law's face. I disagree with how the family's been handling this. Pretending that other people can't have children and that children under 5 don't exist is beyond stupid. Not wanting to conform to this way of thinking does not make you an idiot. Having a surprise party does. It doesn't matter that the family has handled this business poorly. A heads up that this was a gender reveal would have been appropriate. Everyone's the idiot here, without question. How does that work? Do you just show up one day with a 5-year-old child? Tell family it followed you home? Oh, sorry everyone. Yes, this is Billy. He's going to be living with us from now on. Where did he come from? I'm afraid I can't talk about it. Not the idiot. And wow, the dysfunctional levels are off the charts. You don't pretend there are no children because one person can't have a child.